Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Valdivia of American Financial Network, and today I have a special guest, Aaron Steinmetz. Said it. Crystal Clear Images Incorporated. And today I wanted to share with you about one of the businesses that's just active in our community and just kind of give you a background and just give them some highlights because, as you know, we talk about the chamber events and giving back and just really educating people and helping people all around town. Aaron.
And at the end of the day, sharing is caring.
And he's got a great personality, great sense of humor, but he has a lot to share. And I wanted to turn over and turn the mic over to you and just learn about you and your business. And so I'm just going to pose a couple questions to you, and I just want you to start sharing.
Okay.
Number one, I want to know about your business, where it's located, what do you do, what made you decide to get into this business, how do you give back to the community, and then I really want to hear about your educational background. We've had this conversation off camera, and I'd like to share with the world. Tell me about you and your family and everything else.
Well, since you started with the business, let's go there.
Yes.
I started my business in 1994.
Okay.
And I like to say what made me start my own business was youthful arrogance.
Oh.
I was 23. I was working for another business at the time, and in fact, I had been working there exactly 365 days when I gave my 2-week notice and was let go on the spot. But prior to me giving my notice, after about 6 months, the upper management, the two owners, started having, let's just say, a difference of opinion. One person thought service was most important, the other one thought that sales was most important, whereas they're both equally important when you're in my line of work. Crystal Clear Images services and sells copiers, printers, faxes, and digital multifunctional devices.
Was spawned through arrogance.
Yes, it was. So what happened was, after they started having their own fallout, the service manager decided to sell his half and move back to Korea, where he was originally from. At that time, the new owner, now we only had one owner, instead of two, needed a service manager, and because I was quite popular with the majority of our customers and had a very low callback rate. A callback is when you didn't fix it right the first time, you got to go back.
Gotcha.
So I had a very low callback rate, had a very high customer service satisfaction rate, and so my boss decided to give me $1 per hour raise. Yay me! $40 a month at that time. $40 a week rather at the time was a lot for a 23-year-old kid. But it wasn't that much.
What year was this?
This was 1993 whenever I got promoted.
$40 a week.
Yeah, $40 a week was my raise. I was making minimum wage plus commissions on.
What was minimum wage back then?
I take that back. It wasn't minimum wage. I think I was making $10 an hour, which to me was a lot. Wow. Prior to that, I was making $6 an hour. So when I stepped into this line of work, I did well.
Wow.
After 6 months of fielding the customers and trying to keep everybody satisfied, because, well, the sales manager didn't always agree with what the service manager had to say, because after all, he was signing the front of the checks, not the back. And so I did as much as I could to field, but we had a lot of customers who were not happy. That particular employer stopped paying his 941 taxes. At the time, I did not know what that was. I didn't know there was such a thing as a 941 other than a Porsche. But because that happened, the IRS caught up, started attacking the bank account every time a deposit was made, so vendors weren't being paid, checks were bouncing, payroll checks. So I put up with it for as long as I could, and then one of the other older gentleman employers that were there had said, "Aaron, you should start your own business, and here's how you do it." So I went down to the Board of Equalization, applied for a reseller's license, went to the city of Rancho Cucamonga, applied for a business license, which went into effect February 1st of 1994. I gave my final notice on January 31st of that day.
So
The
this
very
is an
next
anniversary
day.
discussion,
It
actually.
actually is, yes. We will be beginning our 27th year on February 1st. Crystal Clear Images is an aquarium.
Nice.
Yes.
Wow, wow, wow.
So the way I did it, I made up business cards, and then the very next day on February 1st, I got in my little Honda and I drove around and went and passed out business cards to all of the customers that when they called, they would ask for me to come out and service. And I just said, I'm no longer with that company, but if you wish to have me come in and fix this, here's how I can be reached. To my delight, many of them that day said, great, we've been waiting 2 weeks to have it fixed. Fix it now and we'll give you a check. And I was like, I'll go get my tool bag. So my very first job, I was handed a $480 check for the work that I'd done.
In what, 2 hours?
2 hours work, not even 2 hours.
Wow.
My typical monthly or weekly paycheck, bi-weekly paycheck at that time was just under 900. So I said, wow, look at this. 1 day's worth of work and look where I'm at.
You went from $40 to 900.
Exactly. I estimated that in my first year of business that I would do approximately $15,000. That seemed like a lot to me. I ended up doing $64,000 in gross business that year.
Awesome.
With best profit margin ever. I had about a 40% gross margin. I've not been able to achieve that since, but it was a really good feeling. The next year it doubled as far as gross business. The margin shrunk, and now we do on average about somewhere between 400 and 500,000. But back before the mortgage crisis, and back before everybody started going paperless, there was a time when I did close to $1 million in 1 year.
Wow.
And that was 2007 was my best year ever. I just missed $1 million in gross business.
Right before the meltdown
And
started.
then the meltdown happened, and in 1 day, I lost 3 big mortgage accounts, one of which was a $65,000 a year account. Up in smoke, just that fast.
Yep.
No problem, no error on our part.
We were literally, we were watching the internet, and we had this one website. I want to say it was like Implodometer or something silly like that. And we literally watched. We kind of had it on the ticker. Instead of watching the stock market, we had it on the ticker on another screen, on another computer, and we walked by throughout the day to see who was going up in smoke next. I mean, it was a daily thing in the mortgage industry. Who was next during that time? Yeah, I didn't even think about services because we were all, bracing to know whether, and you didn't know for sure if you had a job the next day when you were in the mortgage industry. So, I was completely focused on how we were going to make sure that the paychecks were coming in. I wasn't even thinking about outside services.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was an eye-opening experience,
Right.
and one that got my let's just say my pulse rate was increased a lot that year.
Right.
But here we are, 12 years later rather, and we're still have our head above water.
And how many employees do you have?
I have a total of 5 if
Okay.
you count me.
Okay.
And so we are a very small company. That is by design. I've chosen to keep it small because I know what my abilities to manage things are, and if things get too big and overwhelming, I get too fragmented and I can't manage. And of course, I don't like to hire and rely on other people to get the work done if I
Right.
don't have to. I have to, but if I can manage it, I would rather do it. There is an old saying that's not entirely true. If you want something done right, do it yourself. But at the end of the day, I'm ultimately responsible for all the decisions that are made. So any major financial or governmental law, tax, things like that, that falls on these shoulders so that I know it's done right.
So you want to stay close to the business, active,
Exactly.
involved.
Exactly.
Well, and since you've been in business for 27 years, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
You found yourself involved in the community.
I have.
And tell me about your giving to the community and your activity.
Well, in 1995, I joined the Upland Chamber of Commerce. Had never been part of a Chamber of Commerce, didn't really even know what a Chamber of Commerce was. I just knew that they existed, but I didn't know what they did. And I got an invitation to join a Business Network International, BNI group. And then from there, I met some chamber people, joined the Chamber of Commerce that year, and was an instant hit. Of course, I was very young, a little green, etc. And everybody loves a brand new business, especially with young people. And so I was given a tremendous amount of opportunities to succeed. So I really have to say the Upland Chamber of Commerce was huge in implementing my success.
Upland Chamber.
I like to think it was all me, but no, I had a lot of help along the way.
Local chamber supports.
Yep.
Absolutely.
From there, I joined the Rancho Chamber, I joined the Irwindale Chamber, and the Claremont Chamber, all of which at one time I was taking care of their equipment. But as other competitors came in and joined, they have to spread the wealth around a little bit, which I totally understand. Today, I belong to the Upland Chamber of Commerce. It's the only one I belong to, even though my business is Rancho Cucamonga.
We support our businesses.
We do. I do anyway. I try. And then, what was I at on that?
You're a Rotarian.
Yes, I also am a part of the Rotarian Club, Rotary International. We're part of District 63, the Upland chapter.
Yes, we are.
And I'm also active in my church. And there's the Fontana Chamber of Commerce. I forgot I am a member of that. And I'm also a member of Christian Business Partners, which is a select group of business owners who are Christian, who are professing Christians.
So your footprint for your business geographically has remained the same all these years?
Pretty much. If anything, I've kind of shrunk it down because I used to have, we used to have clients all the way out in West Covina, and I even had some clients out in Palm Springs. I no longer try to go that way. So I do keep my business activities localized to the Inland Empire. Primarily Upland, Rancho Cucamonga, and Ontario. I would say 80% of our clients are in those cities, and then the other 20 are in the surrounding cities.
And you said you did that by design because? What was the main thought process behind that?
Traffic. We have to drive to our clients.
Okay.
And so there were times way back in the day when copy machines only copied and they didn't run nearly as dependably and reliably as they do today, where we would have 13 to 20 service calls in a single day. It's amazing how helpless a lot of people become when their copiers jam.
Wow.
And they just don't know what to do. So there was a lot of times when I would have to divvy the service calls up between me and my other service techs, and we would be all over the place. So because of traffic, we limit our travel time to, we try and stick 10 to 20 minutes in travel time between calls. Otherwise,
that's the key, the 10 to 20 minutes, because even though we are not LA traffic, boy, we still have a lot out in the Inland Empire. I mean, we are definitely suburbs, but suburbs get busy, and depending on time, we have to time ourselves accordingly based on the traffic of the day going to and from the inner city kind of a thing. So.
I'm sorry to say, Inland Empire, but we don't have the best drivers here. Those of you who commute on a regular basis know exactly what I'm talking about.
There's something to be said for being very close to home and you know, not having to drive long distances. I have to say, you know,
yes,
I'm pretty spoiled in that arena myself. So
my home's in Rancho Cucamonga. My business is in Rancho Cucamonga. So a lot of what I do is in Rancho Cucamonga.
Oh, you're very close. You have a nice small circle.
I do. But I'll tell you, there's not a day that goes by that I'm not in Upland for something.
Really?
Really. I'm here every day. After this, I'll be going up to my church in Upland to take care of them.
Right. Okay, so now, education. I know a little bit of your backstory.
Okay.
And
what do you know, Amy?
Enough.
Too much, maybe.
A little bit too much, no. And what intrigued me is many people, especially business owners, who stumbled upon their business at a very, very young age without an education. I mean, you did not go to college. When you first,
I'm a college graduate.
You are now,
but we'll get to
but back then you did not. And many people don't go back to school and don't see themselves as someone who needs a college education or even strives for that. So, what made you even think about going back, and why?
Well,
Wait, before. Talk about the very beginning.
in the beginning, before I started my business, I knew that, well, first of all, I was working in a warehouse at a place called Video Products Distribution. Back, those of you that remember, there used to be these things called video rental stores that would rent VHS cassettes so you could watch
Please stop
movies at
aging us
home,
that way.
right?
Please stop
Well,
aging
I
us.
worked for the warehouse, Video Products Distribution, distributed all of the videos that were on those shelves.
And what year was this?
Oh my gosh, I started working for them in 92?
Because you graduated from high school in
1989 I did.
Boy, you're aging us right now. We're putting it on camera even.
Yeah. After that, I just took temp jobs from place to place until I got my electronics degrees and certificates. So there's a school that was in West Covina that's now defunct called Electronics Technical Institute.
Okay.
And there I got my digital and analog electronics certificates, and then I know how to work on electrical things without electrocuting myself anymore, or frying things, which isn't entirely true. You can still fry a circuit board pretty easy with the right screwdriver. Anyway, not that I've done it more than a couple times in my life, but it happens. Anyway, so with that, then and the whole idea was to go into computer repair. But when I got my degree, I knew two things. I did not want to fix computers, and I needed to do something with this degree.
So you were certified for computer repair.
Back then, DOS was the thing.
And you knew
Windows
you
was
didn't
brand
want
new.
to fix computers.
Yes.
Computer repair, fixing computers, kind of synonymous.
Yes.
And yet you didn't want to do it.
Didn't want to do it because it's boring. Boring. I was like, oh, I'm going to just switch out boards all day to see which one does the trick,
Right.
and look at power supplies, and didn't want to do it. But when I was working at the video products place, there was this old guy that would come in once a month with his really fancy tool bag and his tie, and he would go around to the 3 copy machines that we had under contract, and he'd fix them. So I started paying attention to what he was doing and got to talking to him, and he'd mention how he'd been doing this line of work for 20, 25 years at the time, and I thought, wow, he gets to carry a really cool tool bag, and he doesn't seem to have back problems or be all ruined and beat up and aged by the world, and he seems to really like what he does. And this is pretty fascinating stuff. I even remember asking one of my professors or / instructors at Electronics Technical Institute, what about copier repair? Could we use this for that? And he's, well, it's an electronic machine, but we're not teaching anything about the copier process or what happens. So I got that all
Right.
whenever I got the job. So one day, I'm working in the warehouse at VPD, and my boss, his name was Dusty, he says, Aaron, the fax machine's broken. I need you to get this in your car. I drove a 1967 Volkswagen Bug at the time. Loved that car.
I had a
by the way.
73 Super Beetle.
Nice!
So-
My wife had a 72 Super Beetle. It was blue, beautiful.
Light blue.
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
She had lots of problems with that car. Carburetor problems every day.
I never had a problem.
Consider yourself blessed.
Actually put my oil in myself. The only problem I had was as I turned left, gas used to come out the gas tank.
Fun! I never had that problem.
Anyway.
So he says, I need you to take the fax machine up to this place, get it fixed, and tell me we need it fixed. So while there, I asked, are you hiring? Because I saw, oh, they fix copy machines, and I'm fascinated by these machines. And the guy had told me, no, not right now, but we're always taking applications, grab one on your way out. So I thought to myself, I know a dismissal when I hear it. Turns out I was wrong. Because when the machine was fixed, the girl in the office, her name was Cindy, called, asked for me, and said, wanted to let you know the fax machine is fixed. And by the way, did you fill out that application? Because my boss was really impressed by you, and he'd like to interview you today when you come pick it up. And I said, oh yeah, I kind of thought that. So yeah, I've got it filled out. I was going to turn it in and stuff. Of course I wasn't. I just figured I was getting blown off.
As you're on the roof of your car trying
Exactly.
to fill it out.
So at lunchtime I filled it out real quick, ran up and got the machine, gave him my gave him the application. He interviewed me and wanted to know, so when can you start? And I told him, promised my boss I would give him 2 week notice, so I can start in 2 weeks from Monday.
Right.
At the soonest. I hope you'll respect that. And he did. I began working, had to go out and buy me some ties, because I was working in a warehouse, which
Right.
required shorts and a tank top, and of course I had long hair at the time,
Yeah.
and all that stuff, so I had to do a
The
2 week crash
80s,
course.
80s
Yes.
wild hair.
Oh, I had the mullet, I had all of it, a beautiful mane of hair I had. The truth is, I looked pretty ridiculous, but everybody did.
In the 80s, we all
Yes.
did. We
It
all
wasn't
had
as bad as the 60s
a
or the 70s.
lot of hair, though.
But
Boy,
yeah,
there was hair everywhere and a lot of hairspray.
It was a hairy time, yes it was. Lots of ozone depletion in the 80s. Stop using Aquanet.
Exactly. So
And-
you ended up going on route.
So I landed the job. The service manager took me under his wing and introduced me to a lot of machines, and before long I was like, oh, give me the screwdriver, I got this. And then it wasn't long that I was sent out on calls myself, and I realized what service contracts were, so I learned how to sell service contracts. I learned how to sell just service plans. It wasn't until I started my own business that I began to understand what leasing versus purchasing was and all that. I mean, I had no business experience. The truth is, I have no business being in business. I had none at all. Did not know what I was doing, just figured, well, there's all these people running businesses. If they can do it, I can do it. It turns out I was right, but that's what I'm referring to with my youthful arrogance. When you're 23, you don't mind failing. You're so used to failing, it's no big deal.
And parents, because those are the people that were influencing you the most, right? No?
No, my parents live in Idaho, and at the time I was living in Southern California.
Oh, so you didn't have them saying, oh, that's not going to work.
No,
or
I was
anything
living
like that.
with my mother at the time, and when I was 17, I emancipated myself. And so from 17 on, I was on my way. I was junior in high school when I moved out on my own.
Oh, wow.
So I promised my mom, of course I didn't have to make this promise to her, it was really a promise to myself. Right. I'm going to finish school, I'm not going to drop out. Right. So I went on, finished my junior year and all of my senior year on my own, living in an RV of all things. A 40-foot drivable RV that was up on blocks, had power into it, and me and a roommate were splitting $175 a month rent, and I was working at Del Taco at the time.
Oh my gosh.
$3.35 an hour was the wage. I thought it was awesome because I was making $3.45 an hour. Del Taco paid better than Taco Bell, so I switched. What can I say? Don't know what the situation is now, but that's what it was back then.
Think about that, young bucks out there trying to get your first job, and you know, some of the old timers talk about the millennials. Oh, you know,
I have two at my home.
I have them as well, and oh, they want more, and they want this, and they want that.
They're kind of silly. As
we were making $3.45 an hour. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
They want to step out into $80,000 a year,
oh, yeah.
And we were just happy to be able to step out.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. So, a new business owner. Young guy, young gal, right out of college.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not even out of college. Maybe still in college. Just trying to figure out exactly what they want to do. What's the one nugget you'd give them to grow their business?
Don't be afraid of failure, because it's going to happen. It's going to happen. In fact, for every success I have about 5 to 10 failures.
Really?
Yes, but I mean, I sell copiers for a living. Let's be honest. Nobody wants to buy a copier. You need a copier. Nobody wants to pay for the things they need.
So elaborate 5 to 10. You said failures, 5 to 10 failures before you got one success.
Right. So I will get several phone calls in a day, and somebody will need us to do something, and it turns out just because we fix copy machines doesn't mean we can fix every machine that produces copies. For example, I'm seeing a little machine over there. It would be a complete and total waste of your time and my time for me to try and charge you for that, because you can fix it for less than twice what it would cost for me to charge you just in labor to fix it.
And notice it's collecting dust.
Yes.
It's not been used. I don't know even for sure if we have that plugged in.
I don't think you do. There's no lights on it.
Yeah, I don't even think we have power to that going at all.
So a lot of the equipment, of course, Staples, Office Depot, I really shouldn't mention brand names, but let's just say the Office Superstores, they sell a lot of the smaller equipment. People will go buy them, then they'll break and want help, and then expect us to come out, well, they only paid $125 for it, how can they pay me it's not worth it to pay $130 to have me
For
do
the
it.
service.
And
It's
I
cheaper
can-
just to buy a new machine.
I can only agree with them and say, you're right, even if I gave you a break at $65, if I only charged you half of our labor charges, you're still halfway to
Right.
your new machine. Do you really want to do that? Some people have to. Software changes, or the world changes, but the software doesn't change to accommodate new printers. So I have a lot of clients that hold on to their old printers because they're not ready to update their software yet. So
Gotcha.
we do what we can to keep them going as long as we can, but this year especially, we're finding that there's no solution to upgrading your machine. You have to replace it. And when I say upgrading, I mean updating the firmware, doing all the patches that will make it work with the new operating
And that happens,
systems.
that works for so many years, and then after a while, you just, oh no,
Yeah.
you need the new one.
Yeah,
And so you're at that
eventually
point.
the manufacturers say, we made this machine 15 years ago. How much more do we need to upgrade it? I mean,
Yeah.
you shouldn't even be using it.
The iPhone 6, it's time,
Exactly.
you know, yeah,
Exactly.
I understand.
And nowadays, technology is accelerating at an incredibly rapid pace.
Oh yeah, we were just at a Rotary meeting, and what did they say? As soon as, you know, the new phone comes out, as soon as the new technology comes out, it's already outdated.
Yep.
As soon as it hits the streets, you know, you're already on to the next version, kind of a thing.
And it can be new to us, but if you go to like Japan,
Oh yeah,
they'll be like, wow, that's a really old phone. We had
Right.
those 5 years ago.
right,
Well, we invented this technology. Yeah, but they grabbed the ball and ran with it.
right, right,
So-
right. So now, you're a networker,
I am a networker.
okay? When I'm out networking, I find that I'm just out making friends, talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
What's your method? What's the first question you ask somebody to break the ice?
Hi, my name's Aaron, and you are? And then they
Okay,
tell me, and
pass the
so,
introduction.
what do you do? That's
Right,
usually what I do. What I try to do as much as possible is ask the person about themselves. It's amazing, the more interested I seem to be in another person, the more interesting they find me. It's an amazing psychological trick. However, don't fake it. People will always know, at least adults, and especially if they're seasoned business people, they will know when they're being placated versus sincerity.
right,
So I always try to make sure I'm not fake. In fact, if I'm not impressed, not interested, or I don't see a connection here, I usually have no problem saying, well, it was nice to meet you. Hope to see you again, and move on to somebody else, because I can't make everybody seem interesting.
Exiting
Mhm.
some of those conversations, I find to be a challenge for me.
Sometimes, yes.
You have some of those,
Because some people really want you to find them interesting.
and really, or really need you to continue talking to them because you can see that they're very nervous
Yes.
and uncomfortable, and you need to be making new connections, and so do they.
And I'm always happy to be a post to lean on and to kind of take somebody under my wing, but unfortunately I do have a business to promote, and a lot of networking events I am there to promote myself as much as I am to find resources. That is the biggest thing that I get out of networking. It's not so much about how well I can promote my business and the business I can get out of it. It's more like, what business can I receive from it? And what I mean by that is I want to give my business to somebody to receive their services.
Okay,
So I don't want to have to go online and search for a plumber. I want to know, hey, this guy's a plumber. I know this person. Call these people and get them out here. My car's broken down. I don't want to find just somebody, and I don't want to go to the dealer. I want to find somebody that I can say, hey, I'll know by first name. They know who I am, and they understand. Because when people know you, they tend to care about you a little bit more.
And they
When
trust you.
don't know you, you're just a number.
right,
You know, so I try to get to know people. It helps me out. We're business people, and I am a dyed-in-the-wool capitalist. I always say my job is to separate you from as much of your money as you're willing to allow me to do so, and likewise. So I'm there to get business, but I'm also there because I know I'm going to need to do business with other people. So it's a great way to meet quality resources when
Well,
you need them.
And I think that that very much goes back to our affiliation with the chamber, especially the chamber that we're both affiliated with. We truly work to keep the business in the chamber. Let's try to support the other business owners that are active members.
Indeed.
Good, strong, active members, because that we're here really here to help each other grow. Absolutely.
And before I forget, shout out to Terry Galdo and the Chamber Chicks at Upland.
Hey, absolutely. Now, let's go back to your membership with Rotary.
Okay.
We are both members, and I would
Relatively new members.
Yeah, I was going to say we're the younger members. We're younger and we're newer members.
Yes.
With our club.
As old as we are, we're the young ones.
Dating ourselves back to the 80s.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of our fellow members were born in the 40s.
Oh yeah.
So
they talk about the wars.
I know, we're like, was going on when I was wearing diapers. Right?
That was the history book. I have no idea what you're talking about, but it sounded good in the book.
I seem to recall news stories on TV, but then it was all black and white, but I don't know what was going on.
The original Time magazine.
Exactly. I was just worried about when I was going to get my next cookie.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny, some of those meetings. Why did you join Rotary?
Okay, true story, peer pressure. Peer pressure. You know Robert.
Yes.
Well, he's one of my best friends,
Yes.
if not my single best friend. He's been talking to me about Rotary for years because he's been involved for probably more than a decade.
He has.
If he watches this and it's been longer than a decade, he's probably thinking, you know that, Aaron.
Exactly.
My bad.
I want to say over 20 years, maybe even closer to 25, 30.
So here's a lesson. If you don't want to become involved in a community service organization,
Don't become friends with Robert.
Don't share all of your successes with your best friend who might be a part of that group. Because last year actually starting in 2018, I had restructured a lot of how I do my sales.
Oh.
And as a result of that, I began to be much more profitable than I had been the previous years. And so with my newfound luck, Robert thought, I'll bet Aaron can be a good Rotarian. And so he was going to be the president, and he said it would really be great if you could join. And so he recruited you that same year that he recruited me.
Yes.
And so
I joined first.
We're both there. Yes, you did. You had been there a few months before I got there, if I remember correctly.
What do you want to get out of Rotary?
Nothing really. I know that sounds silly, but when I went into Rotary...
Yeah, that's not the answer I was looking for.
I know. Other than resources, but I mean, what do I expect to gain from it other than life experience and to feel good about myself or helping out the community? Really nothing. I mean, obviously I'm hoping that the people in there will like me enough to do business with me, but that's not my primary focus. My primary focus was to help out a friend, to join.
Well, at least you're honest.
And then I also realized, well, Rotary does a lot of things. This is an interesting story with Rotary. Back in 1983, I was in the 7th grade.
I was going to say, you were 12.
Junior high, I was. And my junior high school had 6 or 7 different football teams. And I joined the football team. The football team that I joined was sponsored by Rotary International. I had no idea what Rotary was, but we had the Elks, the Seroptimus, the Lions, Rotary, all of these Kiwanis, Awanas, all of them sponsored a team.
All the different teams.
Right. I just happened to be on the Rotary team. So we were Team Rotary, and I played on the field twice that year and busted my lip open in the final game because one of my teammates threw his helmet and it hit me. So it was, I walked on the field to congratulate the other one, a bloody mess. Everybody was thinking, man, that guy was so hardcore on the field. And I stepped on the field for one play and I didn't even get hit. My teammate did this to me. The dumbest thing ever.
You're not supposed to share the story that way. You're supposed, I was in the trenches. And
yes, but let's admit our failures are so much more humorous than our successes. At least for me, I just got a sick mind, I guess. But that was my first experience with Rotary.
Okay.
Other than that, until I joined, I knew, well, Rotary sponsors football teams.
Right.
Turns out we do a lot more than that.
Absolutely.
We are trying to eradicate polio from the entire globe. We have a rhinoplasty, or rather the rotoplasty program, which fixes kids born with bad palates and et cetera. We're also work with curing blindness. There's all kinds of things that we do, and we're big on reading.
Right.
So just the fact that I can say I'm a Rotarian, it kind of feels good. And people who know what Rotary is, they do tend to have an awful lot of respect if you are a member. So it has helped with my clout, if you will. But as far as anything else, it's been a really good experience of learning how I can employ my talents, my God-given talents, to help out my fellow man a little bit better. Sounds trite, but
Not
it
at
is
all.
what it is.
We have our local community that we have to reach out to. We have the international community that we have to help. Yeah, those children with the cleft palates and that were born with various birth defects. I mean, we're walking through the jungle and walking through the woods. Some of the Rotarians that are able to do that, including multiple doctors, and provide those services for free. But locally, with our Just Read program, for example, cheers to the Rotarians and Just Read program. Hello. It's pretty awesome when you're dropping off books to those kids and you read, and they are so excited. And I had one little boy in a classroom actually come up and tell me he brought his books from the prior year because he wanted to show me that he still kept his books nice. And then in that same little group, there was a little girl that said she was so excited because those were the only books she had.
Really?
At home.
Wow.
We take it for granted, and
True.
my daughter's got books falling off the shelf, and these kids don't have any books at home. There's choices to be made, and sometimes when you're looking for toys under the Christmas tree, and you're 5 or 6 or 7, 8 years old, you want a toy. You're not thinking about the books, so your parents do everything they can to buy the toy, and the books fall by the wayside, and they get their books when they're at school. Reading, writing, arithmetic for the 9 to 10 months that they're in school, and that's it. And they don't get it any other time.
It's funny because I remember when I was in grade school, they'd send out the book order forms and go through the catalog and, I want to read that book and that book and that book and that book and that book. And now I'm reading books to kids.
And those books that we're reading to those kids are from the same program.
Exactly.
And we took it for granted because we were able to check off as many books as we wanted and rip off the order and how many times we ordered multiple times a year, and these kids don't get. And this is in our day and age, right in our backyard. This is not a third world country. This is not. It's literally right here. So I don't know about how you feel, but it feels pretty good when I'm walking out of that school with empty boxes, knowing that we don't have any more books. They're all with the kids. And
walking in, you're kind of nervous. You just, I hope the kids like me. I hope this goes well. I don't know how this is going to work. And then you start reading, and it's amazing. Kids are the best.
And they
really are.
They tend to you. They don't answer back. They're just excited that you're there.
Aside from their bad manners and their body odors, kids are pretty awesome. If you just show them a little bit of attention, it's amazing how grateful they can be. Exactly. Don't want to go after recess. Go before recess.
Go the morning shift, go to the 8 to 10 shift.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of smelly kids out there. They can't help it. They'll outgrow it, I'm told.
In the Inland Empire.
Exactly. It is hot in Southern California, so.
Well, I thank you so very, very much for sitting with me today.
It was a pleasure to be
It was
here.
awesome.
I'm
so glad that you shared your story. I have to tell you, my son is a budding entrepreneur.
Okay.
And
what's he trying to do?
He's still trying to figure it out. So I know that when he listens to this, he's going to see, it doesn't matter. I can make changes, and it's okay to take an L every once in a while, because you need to get through 5 to 10 before you get a success story, and it's okay. That's the whole point to being an entrepreneur and having your business and the longevity in the business is you have to constantly try and get out there and support, and then you get to a point in your career where now the whole community knows you, you're part of the outreach, and
They all know me, they don't all like me.
It's not true. Everybody loves them. And quite the success story. So I truly, truly appreciate it. And I intend to share it with this, not only on our social media, but of course with the gals at the chamber, because you're definitely
And meanwhile, if you have a copy your problems, call Crystal Clear Images.
Yeah.
We'll help you out
Oh
with
yeah.
jam.
How can they find you? What's your phone number, email?
You can find us. Our website is www.mytonersite.com. It's going to be rebuilt very soon.
Okay.
So it's a bit of a mess now, but it's going to be up and running soon. Our phone number, we're located in Rancho Cucamonga, 948-7167. It's a 909 area code. Or you can send an email to me at aaron@mytonersite.com.
Nice, nice. Now, social media. Can they find you on social media at all?
I am on Facebook. We do have a Crystal Clear Images Facebook account. I do
Okay.
have a personal one, but don't go there because I don't discuss business there a lot.
Okay, so Crystal Clear Images on Facebook as well. Instagram? No? Yes?
No Facebook or no Instagram for Crystal Clear Images.
Okay.
I do have a Yelp page, so if those of you are out there and have seen me, feel free to give me a review.
Awesome. Thank you so very, very much. I'm so glad
Thank you
that
for
you're here.
having me, Amy. It was my pleasure.
Thank you. If you have any questions or didn't catch his contact information, you know how to find me, avaldivia@afncorp.com or 626-485-4673, and I'll get you in touch with my friend Erin. Have a great day, everyone.
Fantastic.
Bye.